welcome back to another episode of Debating for a Force podcast. You're watching Debaters Chronicles, where we look at the journeys of debaters, adjudicators, and coaches who have made a difference, not just in the context of debate. I'm Azhar, and today we have Khansa Maria with us. Let's start things off. Khansa, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
Hi, everyone. Firstly, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure. So, as has been already mentioned, my name is Khansa. I'm from Pakistan. I'm currently doing my MPhil in development studies at Oxford, and I've been debating for a number of years. I think it's been about 7, 8, 9 years.
Wow,
I don't even know how long it's been, but yeah, it's been a while.
that's a long time.
Yes, it's addictive. Once you start, you cannot stop.
That's also very, very true. You just don't want to leave anymore. So since you were a
I
debater and
I
debate
think
coach,
you do different competitions and then you decide I'm not going to do this anymore, and then you just can't keep up with that.
that is very, very relatable. You just can't stick to your resolutions. So well, let's start from like the very beginning, actually. When did you first get into debating and why?
So I was in grade 10 and I got into debating because I just thought it would be very interesting for me to meet different people, to express my opinions, and just to learn to be a part of this community, because my brother was already a part of it and it just sounded like a nice secret cult. Little did I know. But I just thought it would be a good opportunity to learn. Plus, my brother did it, and he sounded super fancy. He made himself sound super obnoxious. And I thought it would be good to be as obnoxious as that.
That is true. Debating does give you bragging rights. You get to learn a lot more than other people, and you get to brag about it. So did you
Yeah.
did you did you love debating from the very get-go, or was that passion something that you developed over time?
No, I think I did like it. And I think I do love it. And when I started, I had to work a lot because, I think the way we're told, the way we're taught debating is very different when we're kids. It's all about declamations. But then you suddenly enter into this new world of parliamentary debates and British parliamentary and all of that.
Yeah.
And you realize that debating is a lot more than memorizing speeches and delivering them in the most impactful manner. There's a lot more to it. Um, and I just loved thinking about different things, making different arguments, thinking about topics in a way that I'd never thought about them before. I think the most special part of debating is that, nobody cares about your actual opinion. If you have to be an opposition, you will be um, opposing that topic, regardless of what you think, what you believe in terms of, your religious beliefs or political beliefs and all of that. So I think that's something very special about this activity. Um, and I think it's just a very specific group of people who are passionate about it, who want to learn and who want to grow. And that's magical. It draws you in.
That is very, very true. And on that point too, I really do think that debating helps you look at things so objectively. Like you said, nobody cares about your opinion. You just get a side. You don't even get to pick. So that does make you look at different sides of the same issue. So now I'm just going to give you the rights to brag. What exactly were the highlights of your debating journey? What were your achievements?
I mean, I think my debating journey has been long. I've also done MUNs, even though some people would say MUNs aren't really debates. But
Yeah.
that's another conversation for another time. I think, there's been a lot in terms of winning at Qatar, with winning nationals a couple of times, getting the Best Speaker Award, winning
Wow.
some competitions in Pakistan. I think that's secondary though, even though at that point you're only looking at speaker tabs and speaker points and all of that, and your team tabs. I think the most important thing for me was the friends that I made, and just the growth that I experienced. I think that growth is unparalleled. I can say this for sure. I have lost more than I have won. And I think something debate teaches you is to express what you feel after those losses and then turn that into motivation for your next competition. So I think that's the most important thing I got from it, just the ability to lose and be happy with it, and then try again, and then work on yourself more and be with excellent team members, um, who you sometimes disagree with, or who sometimes disagree with you, and accepting losses and wins with them and realizing that it's a team effort.
That's okay. That's a very, very different and unique perspective on losing debates because all the people I know, we just go all out and we just get really mad at ourselves for losing. So
But
that's a very
that's how it
unique way to look
starts.
at it.
That's how it starts. um that's how I thought of it as well, especially because my mom's a South Asian mom. So every time you go home from a debates competition, be like, so you lost again? And I'm like, no, like that's not how debates work. So just learning from that, eventually you get tired of losing, and you get tired of getting angry at
Uh,
yourself for losing. Plus, you also have to realize that there are a lot of externalities that impact how you perform on a specific day. Obviously you
True.
could have been shit, but also there are other factors like just how you felt on a specific day, how much you knew about a specific topic, what your mood was like, and all of those things which affect whether you win or lose. So you look at debates or your losses from an intersectional perspective at certain point, and I think that really gives a lot of perspective and peace.
Wow, you have learned a lot from losses. So what exactly are the
Exactly.
other what are the other like secrets of your success, so to speak? The resources that you sought help from or coaches who mentored you?
I think, obviously, before anything else, I think the most important thing is just talking to your teammates, going over your
Okay.
strategy, talking about what worked, what didn't. I was very lucky that I had a coach in my A levels who believed in me and who believed that I could also help train my teammates, because I started with a completely new team. This was my last year. So I was tired of losing because I had done that in my
Oh,
previous years of high school, obviously. And I was tired of losing, so I wanted to win. Except you cannot do that if it's a three people team and you are the only one, well, five people team technically, but three of them are speaking. You're the only one who's spoken for a number of years. Your partners are all new, so you have to teach them on the job, so to say. And I think one of my best debating years was my last year, because I did train that team and they later went on to win a lot
wow.
of competitions after me as well. So I think that was one of my best moments, just working with that team, winning competitions with them, um, teaching them after every speech what went wrong, helping them learn from different experiences, and growing with them. I think there's nothing that helps you learn more than training new debaters.
Wow. Is that why you decided to
I think
become a debate coach?
yeah, I think that was a part of it, but I always liked teaching and I really enjoy talking
Me
to
too.
I really enjoy talking to people who are starting debates, or um, just helping them with whatever I know. And I know that what I know isn't a lot, but whatever I do know and whatever I've learned, I think it's important to share that.
Uh-huh. Okay. So what is a typical day in your life like when you were a debate coach?
So I started coaching pretty early as well. When I was in high school, I did start, but I I think I did it properly when I was in my undergrad. A typical day was just me making sure that I did my university work on time. I had some other jobs that I was juggling, so making sure I did that work and then going to my camps. I would normally, so the way it works with Qatar debate is that you don't necessarily go to the same schools every time,
Okay.
because they have a roster of coaches, and they sort of shuffle us around, or they used to when I used to work there. So I think it was just a different experience because you would have a short amount of time maybe you'll be meeting these kids for the first time, but you also need to have them prepared for a prepared round, or also need to help them with argumentation or something of the sort. So you need to sort of squeeze those introductions, make sure that you're friends with the kids, and then make sure that you're helping them learn something. So it was mostly me just running after classes, looking over cases and my notes on my phone while I was in my taxi, and then just reaching there and talking to them and making sure that I did what felt right for those kids, as opposed to repeating my strategies.
I think you did a good job glorifying the job of a debate coach. It seems like something that I would really want to do. So
I
talking more
think you
about
should. I think it teaches you more than actual debating.
yeah, and talking about a debate coaching as a profession. Since you studied Bachelor of Foreign Science at a top rank university in Qatar, that is Georgetown University, and then now you're studying development studies at Oxford. So, do you think there are some courses or degrees that sort of align with the skills that you gain from debate? And if somebody likes debate really a lot and they want to make that their profession, then what do you think are like some career paths that are suitable for them?
So your question is about someone who wants to make debating their profession, right?
Yeah.
Or make their profession around something. So, what's really magical about debating is that you can be anyone. You can be a doctor, you can be an engineer, or you could be someone studying political science, and you can be excellent at it. I think what it calls for is a more holistic understanding of arguments, and the way that you think about different things, the way that you approach the world, and then obviously um, the the amount of stuff that you read, that is important, even though we
Yeah.
sometimes like to think that it isn't. So I think you could do anything. You could be a doctor and you could debate at the side, or like coach students on the side. I know people who do that, and they're excellent coaches. You could be studying psychology and you could coach kids, or you could make debate your permanent job and just work for national or international organizations that work to spread debate. Debates also make amazing consultants. A lot of debaters go into consultancy, so that's
Oh,
always an
really?
option. People are interested in public policy jobs. Yeah,
I've heard
there are
about
different
law,
careers. Oh
law
yeah,
as well.
law is a very common trajectory as well. The point is, you can do anything after debates, because
Uh-huh.
the kind of skill set that it gives you is not restricted to policy or law or civil service. It really teaches you how to think and
Yeah.
opens your mind to different ideas, and also teaches you to work under time constraints, work with a team, learn to skim read, learn to listen to debates on two speed on YouTube. So, it's just the kind of skills that it gives you, or the kind of mindset that it gives you.
Yeah, you could totally be a doctor during the day and debater by night, sort of thing, right?
Yep, I know people like that, and they are amazing coaches and amazing debaters.
Okay. So would you encourage people to make debating like a profession, or at least a side hustle from your own experiences? Or do you think it's just as good as any other hobby? Because I think we can check that box that everyone who's in debate is passionate about debate. So the only thing that we have to look at now is things like earning potential or salaries now. So what's your opinion on
See,
that?
here's my thing. I don't think you should have anything in life which really drags you in without any without any ways out. And I
Uh-huh.
know that a lot of us, and I know I've done that as well, a lot of us tend to get really, really um, dragged into this world and obsessed with debates, so to say. And
That's
we
so
forget that
true.
there's a real world out there. Um, it's all good for you to go to competitions every weekend and also
Uh-huh.
debate throughout the week. But realistically, how many of you will make good money when you graduate, when you finish university? um, how many of you will end up working for international or local organizations that promote debating? Because
Yeah.
that's a very niche industry, right? There are
True.
definitely lots and lots more debaters than there are jobs out there for debaters. So don't make debating your entire life. Don't make debates impact your personal relationships. That will not lead to good things. But yeah, definitely do it, pursue it, but also realize what's your learning curve for debates. If you think that there's a point where you're getting stagnant or where you're getting too bogged down by how many speaker points you get, step back. um, just make sure that you know your own limits with it. They, it's not winning every competition or reaching, I don't know, WUTC finals or WSTC finals is not more important than your own mental health, and is certainly not more important than your future. So if you need a certain internship or exam to pass or reach a certain place, focus on that, learn from
Yeah.
debating, take from it what you need to, but remember that there's a lot more to life than which judge voted against you.
I think a lot of beginner and intermediate debaters can relate to that a lot because usually the week just before a debate tournament and the week just after a debate tournament are the most hectic and the most draining and the most exhausting times of our lives ever. We get
Yeah,
completely derailed, completely off track. Have you experienced that ever?
I
And
think
do
I
you?
have, because in Pakistan, the debating circuit was obviously not the largest, but we did have competitions every weekend. And so you went to competitions every weekend, you had
Oh.
classes, you had your internships and whatnot, and then you had debate camps throughout the week. So half of your time was spent debating. I think a lot of people, it impacted their, social life, it impacted their family life. You don't want all your friends being debaters. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to diversify your interests. You need to nurture
True.
different parts of your um mind and your existence in general. Like, debates is a huge part of it, but is not the only part of it. Go out, meet different people, meet different you know perspectives, and engage with them, learn from them. uh, Debates or debating competitions or debating communities often become a bubble, and
Yeah, yeah.
just don't get sucked into it.
Okay, now I'm just gonna divert a bit and ask you something a little bit more personal. So what are
Mhm.
your what do you where do you see yourself in the future in terms of your professional goals? Do you you have studied public policy, I mean development studies and foreign service. So where do you see yourself in the future now?
You know, that's a really good question, because that's something I'm contemplating these days a lot. I
Oh.
used to be one of those people with a 5 year plan and a 10 year plan and a 15 year plan and a backup plan and a plan B and a plan C and a plan Z. Um, but I've realized that life takes you in different directions than you plan for.
Exactly.
And so it's important to have those plans and it's important to have those goals and dreams. But it's also very important to stay flexible and open to the opportunities that come for you. So I think I am very open to opportunities that come for me right now, and I want to see where life takes me. But I know that a lot of my work focuses on disability and development and or gender and development, and I think I would
Uh-huh.
like to keep with that focus, work on public policy, academia. um, yeah, I see myself working broadly in these fields: international development, public policy, academia.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, on
and I
that
know that's
point,
very broad, but we'll
on
see where
that
that
point.
takes me. Hmm.
Oh, wow. On that point about like rights for the disability community, you are an advocate, you're a passionate advocate for the rights of the disability community. Tell us about your story. What motivated you to start advocating for the rights of the disability community?
So I was born blind, and I am very, obviously I have experienced what it means to live with a disability, particularly
Uh-huh.
within South Asia. And suffice to say that the reality requires a lot of work. There
Uh-huh.
are a lot of stigmas that we need to get rid of, but there are a lot of logistical barriers to living your most productive life as a disabled individual. um, And I think that it's important to get rid of those barriers and get rid of those stigmas. And that's something that I'd like to work towards. And obviously, I've encountered a lot of that on a personal level. And I think I would like a world in which kids did not have to go through a lot of that. So I think that's
True.
where my advocacy comes from.
And that did motivate you to start your own organization called Hope for Tomorrow. Tell us a little about that organization.
So, Hope for Tomorrow basically focuses on capacity building and raising awareness. So, we
Uh-huh.
do this on multiple levels. Obviously, we have social media campaigns, we go to different institutions, talk to, for instance, high school students, and all of that stuff. But then we work one on one to provide career counseling, provide any support that people need to, for instance, purchase certain kind of equipment, those kind of things, if that will make things more accessible for them or make it more inclusive. So that's just a very short summary of what we do. We also have various
Okay.
levels of parental support involved,
Oh.
including support groups for parents, platforms where parents can come and ask their questions, reach out to people um, who've been through stuff with their kids, and also reach out to adults with disabilities who've been successful in whatever they've wanted, and sort of can guide them through it.
Okay, so like keeping in mind that, like you said, there are certain stereotypes against people with disabilities, and there are certain these stereotypes sort of vary in terms of their intensity. For example, maybe in India and Pakistan, it's different. In South Asia, specifically, they might be different. In Qatar, they might be different. So, and I think you must have experienced all its different shades being in these different communities as well. So, keeping that in mind, what do you think is left to be done? What more is left to be done, and how do you want to tackle those issues with Hope for Tomorrow?
I think before anything, I want to acknowledge my privilege. In
Uh-huh.
my family, I had a lot of support when I lived in Pakistan. When I was in Qatar, I was studying at Georgetown, and a lot of privilege came along with studying in this American university in the heart of the Middle East. And then
Uh-huh.
here in the UK, obviously, there's a lot of privilege that comes with being a Rhodes Scholar and being at Oxford. So I do want to acknowledge that reality before anything else. In terms of what needs to be done, I think there's a lot that needs to be done, um, because there's very little that has been done. We need
Okay.
to raise awareness. We need to tell people about what they need to do to make things inclusive, and what universal design looks like for the disability community. But I think most of all, we need to empower people with different kind of disabilities, from different backgrounds, to tell their stories, to tell what works for them, and to be able to, achieve any goals they have, because they have the logistical support that they need. I do realize that we cannot bring policy change or whatever overnight to transform these realities of
Yeah.
discrimination. But at the same time, I think it's important to acknowledge that what we can do is bring people with disabilities on these tables, and give them a seat, give them a perspective. But more than giving them a perspective, give them the ability to make some change through that perspective or through that voice, rather
So
than
the
merely having tokenistic efforts.
yeah, so there's a long way to go, and we're taking step by step.
Absolutely, I agree.
Also, you mentioned the Rhodes Scholarship. Tell us a little bit about that. What is I've never heard of the Rhodes Scholarship actually. What is it about, and what does it take to get a Rhodes Scholarship?
So basically, the Rhodes Scholarship is given to students who want to study at the University of Oxford. It's
Uh-huh.
given to different amounts of students from different places. It's the legacy of Cecil Rhodes. And, there's an entire application process that you have to go through. Um, it's basically people who want to engage with the world and who want to change it in a certain capacity, whose
Okay.
focus is service. Um, and there are different amount of Rhodes Scholars from every you know country, or well, not exactly every country. but most of them. And there is a global scholarship for countries that don't have a Rhodes Scholarship.
Okay, that's interesting.
There's a lot to it, and I really condensed what it is being a Rhodes Scholar. But yeah, in the interest of time, I think.
But it does seem like a really commendable and reputable scholarship, like something that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it is.
Also,
Thank
the
you.
other day, I saw your Facebook post about, like to summarize it, it was about supplementing your prayers with action. I don't think it was that recent. It was kind of old. You said that we shouldn't tell people with disabilities that they have been compensated with other skills or other blessings, or that we shouldn't be attributing their fate to God or luck or something like that, right? So
Yes.
what is your message to other people? What do you think we should be doing to change that?
You know, I
Yeah,
think it's easy to say that policymakers need to change stuff or schools need to change stuff, whatever. And those things are certainly important, but it's more important for us to change what we can change. So, for instance, if you have a restaurant, make sure that your restaurant is accessible. If you have a podcast, make sure that your podcast is accessible for people with disabilities. So, whatever capacity that you work in, make sure that that capacity itself is inclusive, or you make your
yeah.
efforts inclusive, rather than depending on someone else to do it, or rather than telling people to pray or just be happy with their lot in life.
That is true. We just usually end up talking a lot about what should be done without, instead of doing things ourselves.
Yeah, because everyone can do something on an individual level, regardless of what you do, regardless of
Yeah.
what your career is, whether you're a student or whoever you are. There is, I can guarantee you, there are a billion things that you can do to make things inclusive, m- ranging from things as simple as putting up image descriptions when you put posts on Facebook, or adding closed captions on your videos. There is so much you can do. You just need to think about it.
Yeah, and it's either that most people are not aware of things like that, or they just find it more convenient to like blame policymakers than do things
Yeah,
themselves.
I think it's a combination of both of them, but also we're living in the day and age of Google. So I think
Yeah.
we need to take the onus of educating ourselves as opposed to depending on someone else to do it, because there is a lot of emotional labor involved in that as well.
hmm what is your message to people who have disabilities, and particularly if they want to get into debating and they're probably discouraged due to their disabilities?
I think it's important to emphasize that it's not the disabilities that discourage people, it's the attitude of those around them in most
Uh-huh.
instances. um,
Okay.
and I think my message is more for those around those people, to encourage them, to uplift them, and to give them the ability to participate in these exclusive elitist spaces. um, and for people with disabilities, my message is just to keep trying, to look for people who can be their allies, even if you don't see anyone around you. Maybe look online. I'm sure you'll find people who are ready to mentor you, who are ready to guide and support. And it certainly isn't easy, but
Uh-huh.
it's definitely doable. And if you decide that you don't want to do it, it's completely fine, because it's not for everyone. Everyone has different preferences and choices.
Okay. Do you have like any other ideas about how debate can be more friendly towards people with disabilities? Like you said, you can reach out online to people who can mentor you. Are there any other ways in which we can make debate more accessible?
See, as of right now, we're not doing a lot to make debate accessible, anyways. Our
Okay.
competition venues aren't accessible. We don't ensure that there is, closed captioning or sign language interpretation. We don't give people, the ability to enter these spaces because they are just so exclusive. Um, and right now, there isn't much that's being done. So it's not a question of what else can we do. It's a question of what aren't we doing, and that's mostly everything at this point. In some instances, obviously online competitions did make it better, because
Yeah,
a lot of it increased access, and Zoom allows for people to use closed captioning and all of that.
yeah.
But that's just a very small chunk of work. There's a lot more that needs to be done. And I'm hesitant in giving specific directions because different people with different disabilities have different requirements and
Oh,
different
yeah.
accommodations that they need. And even if you find other blind people, that does not mean that their requirements should be the same as mine. So I think it's
Oh,
more important to make sure that you ask everyone individually what they need. And I know that that might be um, idealistic of me to suggest, but I think we do that anyways to cater to different kind of audiences within debates. And I think once inclusivity and accessibility becomes the norm, that will really help. But on another level, I think it's important to realize that right now our outreach is not targeting people with disabilities.
okay.
There was a point at which we realized that our outreach was not targeting a lot of women or LGBTQ community, and we did a lot to sort of remedy that. And there's a lot that we need to do because those spaces still aren't inclusive or accessible enough for women or um, people from other communities. So yeah, we need to follow similar strategies for this, and at least start by making our spaces inclusive, welcoming people with disabilities, doing a lot of
Uh-huh.
outreach.
Okay. I think like it's a wonderful insight. I've never even thought of the fact that people who have the same disability would have different needs, and that there are different sections within the disability community, like women and LGBTQ community, who would
Yeah,
who need to be catered to as well.
I mean, intersectional identities always exist, and it's important to recognize how we can cater to them. But more than anything else, letting them guide the conversation.
Yeah, so there's a long way to go again.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much, Khansa, for this really inspirational insight from your side. I'm pretty sure it motivated a lot of debaters, as well as people who have disabilities, to take to debating. So let us know your thoughts on this episode of Debaters Chronicles. Let us know if you have any ideas on what you think can make debating more accessible to people with disabilities in the comment section down below. And we'll see you next time in another episode.